welcome to video 2 of lesson 13.2, slope of a line, where we're continuing to find that slope of a line. We ended our last video finding the slope of a positive and a negative line. Finding the positive by rising up from left to right and getting a positive line, and then we found the negative by rising down left to right to get a negative slope. So now we're moving on to find the slope of a horizontal line. And if you recall from our previous video, when we discussed that we have a horizontal line and we just said that it had a zero slope. So we're going to look at why that's a zero slope, and we're going to look at it a couple different ways. So I'm going to take this right here, and I'm going to again recall some of the very important details about our first video. That slope is rise over run. And so I'm going to come over here to our graph. I'm going to start at point -2, -3, because it's on the left. And I'm going to count my rise. Can I go up? Nope. Can I go down? Nope. So what is my rise? 0. That is correct. And now I'm going to do my run between the 2 points they gave us and find that it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my slope is rise over run, 0 over 5. Well, 0 divided by 5 is 0. So we have a 0 slope. And we learned that 0 slope means we take a look at that line. It is a horizontal line. Well, let's take a look at it another way we learned about slope. And that is the slope formula, where we take y2 minus y1 and we subtract x2 minus x1. And remember, those sub 1s and sub 2s means just that's taking one point and calling it point 1 and another point, or ordered pair I should say, and calling it point 2. And so I'm going to go the other way this time, and I'm going to call this x2, y2, and I'm going to say x1, y1, and I'm going to plug these numbers in, and I'm going to say -3 minus a -3 over -2 minus 3. And I got -3 minus a -3, well, that's 0, and -2 minus 3 is -5. So whether I have a positive or negative 0 over 5. Well, 0 is neither positive nor negative. Makes absolutely no difference. 0 divided by a -5 is still going to give us 0 slope. And that is still a horizontal line. Either way we look at that. Let's go on to a vertical line and find the slope of the vertical line and do the same thing. This time starting at one of the points. Using rise over run. I'm going to start at the point at the top. And I'm going to count down. 1, 2, oops, I hate when it does that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I go down 4, that's negative. And my run, well, I can't go right at all, so it's 0. And had I started at the bottom point first and gone up, I would say that's positive 4 over 0. Well, we know that in a fractional looking form, our ratio of rise to run, dividing by 0 is undefined. So we have an undefined slope, which is a vertical line, because we can see that it's a vertical line. And if we take our slope formula, once again, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and we plug those numbers in, and again, it doesn't matter which one we start at. So I want to talk to you about taking the first point and subtracting the second point, or taking the first ordered pair and subtracting the second ordered pair. So I'm going to call -2, 3 my first ordered pair, and -2, -1 my second ordered pair, and I'm going to subtract them. And I'm going to say -2 minus a -2 is 0, and I'm going to say 3 minus a -1 is 4. And now I'm going to say this is my x and this is my y. My change in y, as a definition of slope, is 4 over my change in x, which was 0, which again gives us undefined slope, vertical line. Got it? Outstanding. We're going to be practicing it a lot this year. Don't worry if you don't perfectly have it right now. You have your notes, you use your notes on your assignment, and you'll come and ask questions tomorrow. So let's talk about finding the slope through some given points. So we don't have a graph anymore. They're just saying, hey, here are these 2 points, these 2 ordered pairs. We want to find the slope of a line between these 2. And so we could use our slope formula, absolutely. And let's do that right now. I'm going to call this x1, y1, x2, y2. And I'm going to plug those in. And I'm going to say -1 minus 4 over -3 minus 3. Well, -1 minus 1 is -5. -3 minus 3 is -6. And a -5 over a -6 becomes positive 5, 6. All right, I agree with that. Let's take a look at what I said before of taking the first point, 3, 4, and subtracting the second point, -3, -1. Writing it just like that and saying 3 minus a -3, well, that's 6. And 4 minus a -1, that's 5. And my change in y right here is 5. Over my change in x right there, 6. I get the same slope. 5, 6. Positive slope, which means that line is rising from left to right. All right, we're not going to spend the rest of these times doing all those different methods. I'll just pick a method and choose to do it. On this next one, when I have points -1, 1, and 1, -2, I am going to use the slope formula. So I'm just going to say that I have x1, y1, x2, y2. And if this is a method that works for you, you really want to pay attention. And then you plug it in. And you say -2 minus 1 over 1 minus a -1. And so -2 minus 1 is through -3. And 1 minus a -1 is positive 2. We can't simplify that. So our slope is -3/2. Very good. If you like doing it the other way, go ahead and write the two ordered pairs and subtract and see real quickly if you get the same answer by pausing the video and then come and see me on the next example. And that next example is right now. And we're going to use that very darn method because we're going to take the first point right here. And that's 1, -2. And we're going to subtract the second point, which is 7, -2. And we're going to say 1 minus 7. Well, 1 minus 7 is -6. And -2 minus the -2 is what? 0. My xy, change in y, is 0 over my change in x, -6. I have a 0 in the numerator, and 0 divided by -6 is 0. So we have a 0 slope. What happens when we have a 0 slope? Hey, we know it doesn't rise from left to right. We know it doesn't fall from left to right. In fact, we know it's a horizontal line. Another thing I want you to take a quick look at. I want you to take a quick look at this because you might be able to recognize it when you look at the ordered pair. And that is, anytime you have two that are the same, in this case, our y coordinates, -2 and -2. They're the same. If the y's are the same, the y is going to be 0. Whoa. And if the y is 0, the change in y 0 being on top, you are going to have 0 slope and a horizontal line. Moving on to our last example before our quick write. Once again, I'm going to put the slope formula up there like I like to do, but we're not going to use it. And we recognize right away in this one, we're taking a look at these two ordered pairs, -3, -3, and -3, -5. And we can see right away that the x coordinate is the same. So my x is going to be 0. My change in x is going to be 0. No matter what it is up here, makes no difference. We have an undefined slope. Okay? Because you cannot divide by 0. I guess the only thing that would make that something else is if these two were the same, but then you'd be at the same point, and well, we have no clue what the slope is through a line with the same point. All right? So these are different. The y's are different in this one. And of course, we can prove it real quick. I'm going to take -3 and -3, and I'm going to subtract the second point, -3, -5. And I know that -3 minus the -3 is 0. -3 minus the -5, that is 2. My change in y is 2 over my change in x, 0. That is an undefined slope. And by the way, if you have an undefined slope, we have a vertical line. We say these things over and over, using the vocabulary, looking at our notes. Ladies and gentlemen, attitude and effort will get you a long way. Looking at this and listening to me speak and saying, I don't get it, will never get it. You're only going to get it if you have the desire to get it, the willingness to put forth the effort, to persevere, to have the drive, to build your character and intelligence in ways you never thought possible. Ladies and gentlemen, let your efforts rise above your excuses for why this is difficult and challenging. I know you can. I believe in you. Ladies and gentlemen, you have our second quick write in which you are finding the slope of the line through these given points. Pause the video, write them down, take a break, and see me for our last video of the night.